It's supposed to say, let's go. That's what it's supposed to say. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say, let's go. Welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday to you. I'm very excited to be with you on this lovely midweek holiday. Yes, that's it. I'm just declaring every Wednesday a holiday that's just kind of, I don't know if we'll call it Lover Boy Day because everybody's working for the weekend, and this is the point where that work starts to pay off. Think of Wednesday as the Black Friday of every week. Right? That's the day when, from that point on, it's all profit. From that point on, everything you've worked for is the weekend. You're coming back. So, anyways, welcome to the show. I'm HAL Sparks. This is HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. I put this show on every day, practically every weekday, anyways. And I also have a morning show, and then I have a radio show on Saturdays, and I'm streaming a lot, and it's really fun, and I'm enjoying it. And when I'm away from it, it's crazy because I miss you guys. I really do. So settle in. We've got a lot to cover today. I have to say that this might be a strange bedfellows episode where some people seem to be, at least partially. And again, these are clips I have not watched. So it's the one area where I could turn out to be wrong. That I choose to sort of figure myself to be sweetly naive about the potential for bonds and commonalities to be found. I'm always open to them. I'm often disappointed, but there you go. But there were a couple of things that stuck out to me that I thought it would be worth bringing up right out of the gate. You know, sometimes the bad news is the good news. You know, some people will say, we want to hear, I got good news and I got bad news. Which would you like to hear first? Sometimes the bad news is the good news. And when I say bad news, I mean bad people on the news. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a clip from Russian Media Monitor. This is Julia Davies, who's on Twitter, and she posts these things. She takes these videos. She watches Channel 1, this 60-minute show, this sort of round table of psychopathy. And boy, oh boy, there's a couple of things from there I want to show you. But this one stood out as, how would you put this? A minor complication for Team Trump, because of the language used. Now, understand that what is being said here is in Russian. So let's see. I'm probably going to need a verbal translator who can do these things. I think I have one. Let me see. And we go over here. And we want this business. Let's do this business. Okay. I just need to, here we go. This guy, I know the guy. I can help you out if you don't understand. Be translate for you right now. I'm a live correspondent from Yemeshnedev, which is a little town, and it's basically permafrost with a bus depot, and is my town. So I'm happy to translate. This is clip from Russian best TV show ever. Sort of think of like, imagine if you will, The View, but mostly dudes and all of them threatening global annihilation all the time. I mean, it's basically like Russian Pornhub. It's like hate, fear, and death whacking material. This is how we look at this thing. So, anyways, this always bad for Trump when he makes a starring appearance in Russian propaganda TV show. Here is the clip for you to enjoy, and I will try and translate for you. Luckily, English is down here, so if my proper Russian's not so good, because I speak kind of hick Russian, you know, just figure it out. Well, here we go. The other day, Trump promised to destroy the Russian Federation. Hold on. Here you go. To destroy Putin's hegemony. Hold on. This is it. Hold on. The other day, Trump promised to destroy the Russian Federation, to destroy Putin's hegemony, as he put it. That is excellent. If Trump becomes the president, we will know his geopolitical goals, says the man who is really hot on the host ass, let me tell you. And we always see him as the guy who wishes he was on Broadway, so he used opera mic. We'll have to think about whether to reinstall him again as the American president. We haven't decided it yet. So, the other day he said he was going to push back against Putin's hegemony, and we have not decided whether or not we're going to reinstall him as the American president yet. Now, it's clearly she being smart to pants. Yeah? But still, a little awkward for the orange shit-gibbon fellow. So, just getting you right there in the, I'm just saying, as complications go, this is not going to make good campaign ad, except in like Ron Johnson's district, apparently. Ron Johnson, Wisconsin, love Putin, Russia. That's why they send their senator there. He doesn't even have to have note taker. There's only a few of them came over here, and obviously those are big Putin winning areas, but the rest of the country, not so much. They're like, even the ones who think Ukraine should lose, not so much thinking Putin should win. So get used to the idea. Hi, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. I wanted to put that in at the top. I have another clip from those lovely folks that I want to do in a minute, but I feel like there was a clip I was going to do and I wasn't going to do. There's all this back and forth. I'm always on the fence because it's not that the points don't deserve to be addressed, but it's just fucking boring. Just a bore. I'll show you what I mean. Let's go with this guy right here. This is this is fascinating. So here's Jimmy Dore. Speaking of Pornhub for psychopaths, I don't know what this thing is like. Putin sneaking up on him, giving him this whatever. Ukraine in full retreat, it says. Ukraine completely withdraws from Lysychansk. Not quite the same thing, right? I mean, it's not doing. It's as Jimmy Dore videos go. It's not doing particularly well. He's got 742 views on this thing. It's relatively new. 200 rumbles. This is not his primary audience or crowd. It's almost like he puts it up there just to cover his bases. I just want to show you, we don't have to do the whole thing because we know what his fucking take is, but I want to show you something, right? Like, let's give him 5 minutes. I don't even know how long this video is. Let's give him 5 minutes, and then I want to show you what I'm, like, when the response becomes awkward from the side you have chosen. Let's see. Oh, and this is an ad. Yes, that makes sense. Because Jimmy's an outdoor guy. Lysychansk. And by the way, if you're gonna be the world's preeminent Nazi hunter, you're gonna need to know the name of the cities that they're apparently hiding in. No, they have not. In key region, not in the Donbas, in a key region. Okay. Oh, there's no Jimmy audio? Sorry. Hold on. Back up. Let's go. This is him. Here you go.
So, just so you know.
Hold on. Wait, let me jump over here. We'll back up. What is that? I've got ghosts in my machine.
Ukrainian forces withdraw from Lysychansk. How do you say that?
Again.
Lysychansk.
Nobody's there to correct him, and nobody there knows. Just for the record. Also, can we also point out the fact that Jimmy is citing CNN again? which is not to be trusted corporate media that controls mind of thought and blah blah blah. And yeah, but still, it's just like this is the same shit Alex Jones does, same shit Russell Brand does. Never trust the mainstream media unless I can use the headline, not the body of the article or the content, of course, but if I can use the headline to sell some point of view.
Holdout in the key region. So Ukraine is now officially pulled out.
No, they didn't. Not like your father should have. I kid. Come on.
Of Donbas.
No, they have not fully pulled out of the Donbas.
So just so you know, this is the Donbas here. This is the part that the people here didn't want to go along with the coup that happened in 20.
Yes, the coup that happened in 20. Yeah, no, it didn't. There was no coup. The Ukrainians were pushing back against Russian control of their country. But again, let's. This is freedom fighters. This isn't that Russia is taking over Ukraine. Ukraine are the Israelis in this, and this is Palestine. Of course, Palestine that has a Palestinian country that is the largest territorial country on earth that they're allowed to go to and that they have, and that they are seizing other lands from. This falls apart. The analogy is shit. But anyways, this is, he's reiterating, this is a bullshit talking point. Oh, this is only 5 minutes anyways. So he's just not even going to bother. All right.
In Ukraine. So these are the people who identify the Russian speakers that.
No, there are Russian speakers in there because as they seized territory, they brought their own people in.
Identify more with Russia. And this is called the Donbas.
Because I'm reading it here.
This is the city right here. So this is it.
No, this isn't it. If you'll notice, Lysychansk is here. This is just where the little fighting went on. This is not a territorial map of, okay, shall we bring up, let's see, Russian held territory map, June 5, let's see what we've got here. Let's see. Campaign assessment June 5th. Is there a map in this? Yeah, here you go. This is the actual controlled area. All this area, Jimmy is telling you that the Ukrainians have lost all this area because it's called the Donbas. This is where Lysychansk is, right here. This is the fighting is all the way back in this area. And also, this is an area they had previously controlled before February 24th. So the idea that they have somehow made it all the way across the fucking country is just dumb. Let me blow that up for you a little bit in case you've got a bad case of the Jimmy Dumbs. That's it right there. See the Lysychansk, see this right over here? See that area right there? That's where it is. There's a river all along here that the Russians are being held past that point. This is hardly outside of the Donetsk region. There is reported Ukrainian partisan warfare happening, meaning that there are satellite group of fighters in the center of this area fighting outward. Also, a bunch of Russian army depots and ammo storage places have been bombed to shit while the fighting is going along the front lines in this. This is by no... And remember, if you'll recall, Russia attacked from Belarus towards Kiev. This whole area, Sumy, this whole area was taken early and lost. Here's Kharkiv. There you go. That was gone too. Draw Alabama in there. All right. I mean, this is Jimmy's map. This is reality. Here's Jimmy's map. Jimmy thinks that they've lost the Donbas. This is how fucking stupid Jimmy is. It's not even about his like evil ideas and his grotesque takes on this kind of stuff. It's how, I mean, this is just stupid. Yeah, partisan warfare means that the area is controlled by Russians, but there is a significant fighting force of Ukrainians in there fighting against the Russians in the center of all this shit. That's what they mean by partisan warfare in that area. Okay.
So that's what we're talking about. Here's
that's what he's talking about. That's what he thinks he's talking about.
Russia, there's Ukraine. Here's the part we're talking about.
Here's the part we're talking about. No, you're not. Fuckhead. You're talking about right here, right there, that one little piece that does not include any of this shit.
Russia has taken control of Lysychansk, the last city in the Luhansk region in eastern Ukraine that was still under Ukrainian control.
In the Luhansk region, right, the upper part. Yeah.
Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu reported to President...
Oh, yeah, and by the way, for the record, hold on. This will be good for Jimmy. Hold on. Sergei Shoigu. Jimmy will just like this. Sergei Shoigu, the Russian defense minister, makes $140,000 a year U.S. This is his house. And of course, it's there are records that it's owned by his daughter, who makes less money than he does. It's worth $18 million, but the records on it have disappeared. The saga of a multi-million-dollar pagoda-style mansion, allegedly tied to Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, has taken a new twist, with activists accusing the federal government's main real estate registry of altering documents linking the property to his immediate family. Opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who is also, Jimmy considers a Nazi, anti-corruption organization last month published copies of documents from the registry showing that Shoigu's daughter, Ksenia, became the owner of the property in a prestigious village on Moscow's western outskirts in 2009 when she was 18 years old. It's like $1 million for every year she's been alive. But a funny thing happened to those documents retrieved from the database at Rosregister, the federal agency tasked with maintaining Russian real estate records. According to the same activist who posted the records, they have now disappeared. Almost like Alexei Navalny himself. But, whatever Shoigu says, it's true.
Vladimir Putin, that the military had taken over Lysychansk and
Lysychansk, you fuck.
A number of nearby settlements on Sunday, according to the country's Ministry of Defense. Ukraine's military announced Sunday that it had been forced to withdraw from the critical city.
And by the way, again, Jimmy takes this stuff and he puts it in Keynote, or he tells somebody to do it, and they type up, he circles it on the paper, and whoever it is types it up and puts it in Keynote for him to flip through during the show. And he makes these letters red because he thinks that's meaningful.
In his nightly televised address to the nation, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the retreat from Lysychansk was motivated to save the lives of Ukrainian troops. But then he said this: "We will rebuild the walls, we will win back the land, and people must be protected above all else." That is
right. Yeah. And again, win back the land apparently is proof that the Jewish president of Ukraine is a Nazi, because they want the city that was theirs back from the people that took it forcibly, who have a giant country. This is, yeah, he said Volodymyr. And Volodymyr, he's being a dick, I think. Well, actually, I take it back. I don't think he's being a dick. I think he's just stupid.
Happening. They are not going to rebuild the walls.
Yeah, they are.
And they will not win back the land. That is not happening. Luhansk is one of the two regions that form Donbas, the eastern part of the Ukraine, where the conflict between Ukraine and Russian-backed separatists started in 2014. They don't tell you why it started.
Because the people of Ukraine were tired of being run by a puppet government from Russia and decided to stand up. I'm sorry, they're Nazis. That's right. Because they in 2014 when the Nazis took over and elected a Jew 4 years later. They're the sneakiest Nazis in the world.
It started because the United States helped institute a coup.
No, we didn't. Again, he fucking thinks this is a dunk. He's still doing this shit. I guess points for commitment?
With Nazis.
Nazis that would elect a Jew within 4 years
Of the democratically elected government in Ukraine, and they installed a government that was more friendly to the European Union and less friendly to Russia.
What? Okay, so since when in the last 50 years has Nazis been more friendly to Europe rather than Russia, as far as white nationalism and with a socialist underpinning?
That's what happened. Then there was
it hasn't, but
a peace agreement.
No, there wasn't. The Minsk agreement was we get to keep the land we took, which they didn't live up to.
Minsk Accords, and Ukraine agreed to stop bombing people in Donbas.
And then they had 2 elections, and the Ukrainian people were like, fuck that. The guy who was still a Russian puppet agreed to that, and they took our land.
They didn't. They killed 14,000 more people over the next 8 years.
No, they didn't. There was a war there for the territory, back and forth, ongoing. Most of the civilians, by the way, there are 3,000 civilian deaths in that region since 2014. 2,000 of them were in the first 90 to 100 days of the clash. The rest of them have been soldiers.
And then Putin invaded to protect those people.
Yeah, that's what he did. So I see. I thought he was denazifying the place. He invaded to protect the people of the Donbas. Well, I just given him points for consistency. What?
The area has become the key centerpiece of Putin's military ambition in Ukraine after his troops failed to take over Kiev.
Why didn't you make the word failed red, Jimmy? I mean, obviously you made the 2014 red. And you didn't make Russian-backed separatists red. That's weird. The conflict between Ukraine, which is a country, and Russian-backed separatists started 2014. You made 2014 red, but not Russian-backed separatists. And you certainly didn't make Putin's military ambition in Ukraine after his troops failed, for example. Like, why aren't those words red? I'm just curious. I mean, from a King James Bible, Jesus only, Jesus's text is in red standard. I would think you just want, and if you're against war, you would want any act of war to fail. Well, think.
Earlier this year. Let's remember what Colonel McGregor says actually. So remember they were saying, we're going to win. We're going to beat back. They just need some more arms and they can beat back. They're going to win against Russia. They were never going to win against Russia. We all knew how this was going to end. It had to end. And so what's going on now? What's going on? All those people died for nothing.
No, they saved their capital so far. Oh, and maybe the Russian soldiers who died for nothing. You mean the conscripts? Like, and by the way, just if you're getting all wound up because Jimmy is siding with the Russian government against the civilians in Ukraine, and just like these people have to die because they were taking up land that more people want to side with. I don't know what the fucking argument is there. And they're full of Nazis, mainly because they're full of Nazis and they deserve to die. Understand, he also doesn't believe there's a Uyghur genocide. And he also doesn't believe that the Tiananmen Square massacre happened. He thinks both of those things are contrived by the West. I'm not kidding. I mean that literally. I don't mean like he believes this kind of shit. He literally does not care or believe that Uyghurs are being put into forced sterilization, into labor camps and re-education camps, being used as slaves. Doesn't care. It's not worth its impact on the economy. And China's a communist country, so they should just be able to do whatever they want to their people. That's the rule. He really does. And Tiananmen Square was all bullshit drummed up by the West. I'm not kidding. He thinks that, or at least he thinks there's money in thinking it, which might be closer to true.
All the people that are being killed in Donbas and Ukraine are being killed for nothing because everybody knew how this was going to end when it started.
No, they didn't. As a matter of fact, when it started, everybody thought Russia was going to win in a matter of days. It was very possible they were going to take Kiev in 48 to 72 hours, or at least, in less than a week. And they got their fucking ass handed to them. And they are now all the way back to territory they had claimed initially and only border regions. And they're the second biggest military in the world.
And here's Colonel McGregor. Know that he didn't make general because he told the truth about the military.
Is that why?
And so he's now telling the truth about Ukraine. And here it is.
All right, this is the truth about Ukraine. Here it comes. This is it.
They're going to win, and they're destroying NATO. They're tearing Europe apart.
Destroying NATO. We just added 2 countries. All of the NATO countries are more committed than ever. As a matter of fact, they just expanded the alliance to recognize the geopolitical threat of China in Central Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. This is like Alex Jones the other day telling us that they're destroying the dollar.
Europeans are finally beginning to wake up to the disaster. They've lost control in Eastern Europe. You have the Lithuanians who want to cut the Russians off from East Prussia, or this place called Kaliningrad. You have Russian retired officers now calling for Putin to commit nuclear weapons to the defense of Kaliningrad. At the same time,
yeah, you mean on fucking Channel 1?
You have the Poles who continue to advocate for greater violence against Russia and greater support for the non-existent Ukrainian state because...
well, there you go. The non-existent Ukrainian state. I'm beginning to think that he didn't make general because his head was lodged in his ass and he was unable to complete the final exam. What the fuck? I love that Jimmy thinks this is a source. He has to be a source, guys. Look at the books. I mean, they're in no particular order, and it's a mix of fiction and nonfiction, and it's a little haphazard. Not exactly the king of organization and stuff, but, he looks like a guy that would have the exact same quilt draped over his one chair that Jimmy does.
Let's face it, Ukraine is now a failed state.
Look at him looking up. I mean, Ukraine is a failed state. A failed state. Seriously, this isn't even remotely close to reality. I mean, this is even beyond Jimmy's fucked up map. Honestly, they have a functioning government. They're still, even under attack from Russia, the second largest military in the world, they're still making grain deliveries and paying their bonds. Russia just defaulted on their national debt for the first time since 1917. The Ukrainians, however, are still paying their bills.
It's collapsed. People are being...
Again, well, look at him looking up. He said it. I mean,
pushed at gunpoint into Russian fire.
That's only the Russians that are killing each other. Hold on. Let's see if I can get this. Mm-hmm. These guys are shooting their fellow soldiers, apparently. And so that they can join a failed state. What does it say? What does it say about... Hold on. Get out of here, you silly thing. What does it say about Russia if Ukraine is a failed state and these motherfuckers would rather shoot their own fellow soldiers? Hold on. This is the... Okay, I will end in 20 seconds. Get out of here. Released by the Freedom of Russia Legion, the video depicts armed fighting in the forest in Ukraine. The two sides, formerly the same army, exchange gunfire, seen from the soldier's point of view. The camera points towards the butt of guns as the defector fires intermittently at the other Russians. A nearby grenade or missile then sends him to the ground. This is this part right here. This guy is defecting. He's firing on the dudes he was just fighting next to. Yeah. So, the Freedom of Russia Legion is a group of Russian defectors and a growing movement in Ukraine, as well as Putin's homeland. Applications for the squad are apparently off the scale. It's made up of Russian military personnel disguised as part of the Ukrainian armed forces. They fight with the letter L emblazoned on the uniform instead of the Z. Similarly, while Putin's slogan for his forces for Russia for victory, the Legion slogan is for Russia for freedom. They also use a white and blue flag. Alexei Arestovich, who is the advisor to the head of the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's office and a military blogger, said of last month there were several dozen members of this the defective group. The defector group, I think is what they mean. I mean, they might be. I'm sure the Russians think they're defective. Speaking to Ukrainian reporters, he said, on the front line, they are fighting very well. There's several dozen. It's like a separate unit disguised as Ukrainian armed forces. The number of applications to the Legion, including the Russian army, is off the scale. They don't have time to consider it. I see how the Legion is marching across Russia. It's a failed state that Russian soldiers are leaving their own forces to join.
This whole thing is a disaster, but no one wants to admit failure because they know once they admit failure, they lose all credibility. Well, of course, obviously we could have...
It's a failed state, complete collapse.
Failed state, complete collapse. That's why the president is doing a nightly video address. Okay. Okay, he won't take... I keep finding sources and he's just going to ignore... let's see, let me find a... Well, this is just CNBC. Ukrainians try to hold back Russians at the Donetsk border. Moscow angry after Putin Macron calls details are revealed. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has said that an air alert was announced over the entirety of Ukraine last night, raising civilian anxiety. Meanwhile, in Russia, the parliament has given its initial approval to measures that put Russia's economy on war footing. Because that's what you do if you're just kicking ass and the place you're fighting in has just collapsed. You move on to a war footing. Sloviansk, a city in Donetsk that has found itself on the front line of Russian forces advance, has become the focus of Russian aggression in recent days. The British Defense Ministry said the battle for the city will be the next key for Ukraine. The city's mayor has urged civilians to evacuate. This is older too, I think, isn't it? No, this is July 6th. Russia has turned its attention to capturing more parts of the Donetsk region of the Donbas, having already seized the neighboring Luhansk province. Donetsk is now experiencing heavy shelling, the same strategy the Russian forces used in Luhansk, Sloviansk, Kramatorsk, and Bakhmut
and are now Russia's key targets. Despite a slew of coordinated global sanctions, Russia still brings in about $1 billion a day in export revenues from oil and gas. In the recent, by the way, there were $3 billion a day about a month ago. In the weeks since Russia invaded Ukraine, Washington and its allies have imposed a round of coordinated penalties. However, Russia still receives significant revenues from oil and gas. There's the oil and gas revenue, oil and gas revenue, expenditures. Oil and gas revenue, expenditures. Oil and gas revenue, expenditures. One would think, here's your expenditures. Your oil and gas revenue January to May 2021 and January to May 2022, it's gone up, but your expenditures have kind of gone up. Overall revenue for the whole country is just above this line. So look how there is almost nothing else made. Like there is no overhead. There is nothing left over. That's why they're on a war footing. People found that oil and gas accounted for 47% of Russia's revenues from January to May this year. And while Russian oil production fell in April, revenues increased by 80%. For comparison, Russia's fiscal data suggests that Moscow spent $325 million per day on military expenditures in April, the latest data available, referencing Moscow's ability to still finance the war in Ukraine. They also have an entire other country that's gigantic to finance. There's not a lot of money left over, is my point. Celebrity chef, and you mentioned, okay, Jose Andres, there you go. So this is, hold on. There is, let's see. This is 10 hours ago. Yeah. This is from the Donetsk region. Let me see if I can bring this up in a second. Yeah, that is a Russian ammo storage facility. Massive collision of Russian ammo warehouse hit in the Donetsk region. One of the reasons why the fighting is pulled back some is because this part of the campaign is happening from the Ukrainian side. That is enormous. That's bullets that aren't going to be coming the Ukrainians' way. That's missiles that aren't going to be launched. That's mortars that aren't going to be fired. That I'm voting for that's the failed state part, but we'll see. All right. Anyways. And by the way, is Jimmy alone in the studio today? Did everybody just abandon him? Is he just a sad old fart screaming, let the Russians kill them by himself in his garage, in his $1.4 million house with, I guess that makes a $300,000 garage?
And Zelensky says, we're going to get this land back. It's, So there you go. Ukraine officially pulling out.
No, not officially. Totally dumb. Ridiculous. Now, keep in mind, I want to let him finish this. He's got like 20 seconds left. I'm going to let him finish this, and then I'm going to show you the newest statement from the Chechen leader of the Russian forces. And remember that Jimmy is on that guy's side. He thinks that guy is going to win, deserves to win. It's inevitable, and nobody should even try to stop them from winning because it's a waste of time and money.
So I don't know how much longer they want to have their citizens be killed, because that's all this is doing, is making more people get killed. We're going to Chicago.
Also, no, you're not. And okay, so let's jump straight to this dude. Hi. So this guy is a leader of the Chechen forces in Ukraine. This is from the area Jimmy was just bragging the Russians have taken. Okay. It's about a minute. This is adorable. Inshallah, there should be no doubt, is how this starts.
Inshallah, дальше вообще сомнений не должно быть. И Донецкая народная
The DPR, Mykolaiv, Kherson. Hold on, let me bring this down a little bit because he's very loud. Odessa, Until Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin stops us, until Putin says, call it off, inshallah, we'll get to Berlin. I mean, they're really committed to this denazification so much that they're going to Germany. I don't know if they expect to use a time machine, but yeah, we'll get to Berlin, he says. We will win, no doubt about it. Yeah, that's what Jimmy was saying. Ahmad is power, Allahu Akbar. There you go.
Allahu Akbar.
President Putin today, Ramzan Ivanovich Kadyrov, our brothers are defending Islam first and foremost. So Tucker Carlson and the whole, like, Russia's a Christian nationalist state, and that's why they can be trusted to do the right thing, and it's better if they, yeah. First and foremost. I'm sure Putin's glad to hear that. Our brothers are defending Islam first and foremost. They're defending values like keeping women out of school. All right. Defending the greatness of the Almighty. I guess that, I assume he means Putin. Kadyrov, the head of the Chechnya, is playing a big part in this jihad. That's him. He's on the patch. It's a lovely, it's nice. It's a quality patch. I think it's funny that they, is that the Russian word for nonce? All right. All of us are under his command. First of all, it's about faith in the Almighty. It's about our spiritual values and our language. Our language. Huh. I'm just saying that I don't think Jimmy's argument was that the Chechen, that they were Chechen separatists in the Donbas. Yeah. So anyways, this is Jimmy's backing this dude in the same way that he's backing the Houthis in Yemen, apparently, who he, on the one hand, believes should be able to attack Saudi Arabia, but at the same time believes that Saudi Arabia should be able to wipe them out because yeah, those guys. Those are the guys that Jimmy is fighting in support of as well, just for the record. And then, of course, I guess Bashar al-Assad, where, you know, one of the few countries in that region where you can still buy stamps with Hitler on them. Yeah, the Chechen language. Honest to God, I don't know what the fuck. Yeah. Right. Yes, that was a Nazi salute. You are correct. This is those are the Houthis saying death to America, curse the Jews. Yeah. Adorable. He's live right now. He is. Oh, hang on. Shall we do a drop in? Let's see. Or does he only do it on like you have to be a member or some shit of his site? There he goes. This is no. Apparently he is on. They take breaks. Is he back? We'll be back momentarily. Can you not? Do you have to slide back here, or what happens? I mean, maybe he is running it by himself. Oh, he's back. Hold on. Let's see what the big pickup is. We'll do a drop in, see what he's talking about.
Oh, different story. Okay, ready. So it turns out Gallup did a poll, And they found out, when's this from? This is from July 5th. Confidence in U.S. institutions down. Average at a new low. It's a weird metrics to just say institutions, but they have 14 institutions, things like the news media and small business, and the Supreme Court, government. Those are things that they call an institution. And so...
and this is something to be happy about?
less confident in major U.S. institutions than they were a year ago. So I thought Joe Biden was elected president. He was supposed to restore our faith in institutions. He's not.
Well, he can't do that because you assholes voted to let Donald Trump run the place, and he put, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, and Barrett on the Supreme Court, which would shockingly, right?
It's institutions.
Also, there's difficulty in Congress because the Jim Jordans and people like that are still in office, and Trump isn't behind bars. It's a split in reasons, I'm sure.
Fauci prayer candles are down. I know that. Average confidence was at least. Listen to this number. This is from Gallup. They say the average confidence was at least 40% from 1979 to 1990. Not even half. And that was the good years. Those are the good times.
That's because half people don't like it because it doesn't go far enough. Half of them don't like it because it goes too far. That doesn't mean they don't like the existence of them. And it's not fair to say that they don't believe in uniform that they shouldn't exist. This is like the ACA garbage.
From 40 to 27% of U.S. adults express a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in those 14 institutions. And that's 3 points below the prior low from 2014. 27% of the United States people express a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in those institutions. Did they just start working at those institutions?
You forgot quite a lot.
Quite.
I would say they're about
So Kurt gets to hide behind the thing again.
30 points below the average IQ.
Yeah. The largest declines in confidence are 11 percentage points for the Supreme Court.
Right, which brings the whole number down.
And 15 points for the presidency. I thought he was supposed to return our confidence in the presidency. No, 15 points down.
Because more people think he can and should go further, and a bunch of Republicans, which watch this show, hate his guts.
The military is the only institution besides small business for which a majority of Americans express confidence. And that's only because Top Gun's out. Confidence in the police at 45% and has fallen below the majority level for only the second time, with the other instance occurring in 2020 in the weeks after the death of George Floyd.
No quip, no... You don't understand why people would feel that way?
In confidence for all three branches of federal government. The Supreme Court, 25%. The presidency, lower than the Supreme Court.
Everybody hates the Supreme Court right now. That's crazy.
Well, the idea isn't that they don't like the president. It's the institution of the presidency, what it can and cannot do.
Or organized religion, newspapers, the criminal justice system, and big business. Boy, who are the 14 people who still have high confidence in big business? 14%? I'm going to guess that's Jeff Bezos' family, Bill Gates' family.
And Fauci.
Said Fauci's family. So here, I'm going to show you what this is. You don't have to see it. It says, this is the question they asked. It says, now I'm going to read you a list of institutions in American society. Please tell me how much confidence you yourself have in each one. A great deal, quite a lot, some are very little. So this is the survey we've been talking about. So I'm going to...
Yes, we get that. All right, this is just boring. That's what the show is. I only watch the clips that they post when we talk about them sometimes. That's how it goes. That's what they spend their time on. That's a whole segment. Jesus Christ. Like, I understand when I have to do it. Because they post something and it's supposedly selling some sort of ideology or some talking point. So we have to, deal with it and look at it. but I mean, that's what my choices of material are based on, is sort of the limited availability of certain, talking points, ideas, and stuff put forward. Hold on one second. Where's oh yeah, here it is. I'm like, where did my clips go? I have so many pages open. Where are they?
Go Sacramento.
Shut up. All right. It's over here. Okay. These are my clips. Okay. So, I pick stuff based on what I believe are sort of the talking points that are going around, so we can just kind of address how the media, especially right-wing media, or I would say right media, which would be Jimmy. So far, lefty's right. The idea like authoritarianism is the only key, and some people are just going to have to be sacrificed. That idea.
The United States.
Now, for example, somebody. And you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, by the way, and I think that shows taste and breeding on your part. Don't forget to like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show in any way you can. And if you can't at all, just sit back and enjoy it, because I don't care. I'm just here to make your life a little calmer and a little more fun, and point out the lies as they unfold so that you don't even have to worry about them. Like, some people, I think, get anxious about dealing with right-wing talking points or the lies they put out just because it's so overwhelming, and answering it. And some of it might be that is part of that true, because it seems like they're so confident, in what they're saying. You're like, nah, it's just not. And so I'm glad to show you those things when that is the case. Now, some of them are just running on desperate fear as a commodity, like Russell Brand, arguably like Jimmy Dore, and of course the Laurach Ingrahams of the world. The United States of Fear. Blood-soaked letters. This is, I honest to God, somebody has been watching Russell Brand's success, and they've decided that these clips have to be, that he's got a winning formula. We talked about this on my morning show. I'm not going to participate in that shit. I think it's evil. Look at this. Ingraham. They want you to be afraid. The them, the theys. Those on the left who devote time and energy to fear-mongering on fake issues while covering up the truth and the growing scourge of violent psychosis in young people, and must be called out. The United States of fear. Fear, I tell you. I mean, granted, she's a little scary. She's a little scary. It's a little yeah, it's a little much.
The United States of Fear.
The United States of Fear.
Focus of tonight's angle.
Oh, good. Thanks for doing that for us. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. Whew. Thanks for going in the haunted house ahead of us so we can all feel better after this. Oh, a graphic.
Now, the press and the party that they represent.
You're in the press, ma'am. Ma'am, you are literally the press. You are literally on the air. Psst, Laura, you're on the air. This is being filmed. You have a lower third, dum-dum. That literally, if there's a primary qualifier, besides, being double mic'd, wearing a lot of makeup, and sitting in the same chair every night in front of a fake background of a cityscape in a town you're not actually in, if there's any other aspect that should be a prime indicator that you are actually part of the media, it would be that you have a lower third. I don't even have a lower third. I just put my name here so that people stumbling upon this go, oh shit, I love that guy. But that's the only reason that's there. I'm not doing that though. The left wants you afraid. And apparently so do you, because that's the they. Okay, United States of Fear. It's Biden against a grayed out America of death and blood letters. Okay, so.
They want you to be afraid.
Yeah, they do. Not us. Not us at Fox News. We would never tell you that the migrants are coming for you. And they're coming up here to vote. They're gonna be on the social welfare programs, and they're just going to eat all your food and take all your jobs and abort all your babies, and that's why they're here. Don't you understand? We have to build that wall because the left wants you to be afraid. Also, buy a gun.
And I'm talking very afraid.
Is there another kind?
COVID subvariants, they're here. They're super duper contagious. So consider changing your travel plans if you're thinking of attending big events.
Is that, hold on. This might be too scary to show you guys. I'm worried. Maybe I need not so much a trigger warning. Think of it as a Tigger warning. This evil news might bouncy, flouncy, pouncy, fun. The wonderful thing about trigger warnings is I'm the only one. The only one. All right, where did my programs go? Hold on, get back out here, you silly. Yeah, so this is, and, hold on, what the heck? Where'd we go? Ingram, there we go. I gotta open this guy. All right, hold on. Sometimes you get near the edges of your monitors and all of a sudden everything opens up just wrong. Hold on. Okay, there we go. I don't know what that is. Quit it. Don't do me any favors, screens. I don't need any sticky lenses. All right. So this lovely lady says that the CDC, they want you to be afraid of COVID variants and change everything about you. Here's the biggest news stories that I could come up with right away. This is just news and then CDC advice on COVID subvariants. Yeah. BA4, BA5, COVID subvariants spread. Will CDC change quarantine guidance? Here's what to know. Typically doesn't update quarantine or isolation guidance when a new COVID variant emerges or hasn't been tested. This is 4 days ago. 4 fucking days I've been living in fear. Fear, I tell you. FDA advisors recommend COVID vaccine update for the fall and they don't even tell us. They just leave us hanging. The American Medical Institution, Medical Association. The institution's a very different place. BA's 5, fast rise to dominance. 5 things you need to know. Becker's Hospital Review. You know, the liberal media at Becker's Hospital Review. NBC Chicago, how long should you quarantine for COVID? Here's the latest guidance on the new subvariants. CDC new Omicron subvariants take over as dominant coronavirus strains. California's COVID-19 positive nears a record as variants spike infections. LA coronavirus cases hit new summer high because it's percentages. Can you get COVID twice? May lead to more infections. Top docs, possible. That's the whole thing. And you can get reinfected, and it's mainly people who are of ill health specifically. If you keep testing positive for COVID, when can you stop quarantining because it keeps showing up on your test and blah, blah. New virus strains now may be dominant drivers of COVID. Again, the Portland Press Herald. What is the, FDA advisors call for Omicron updated COVID? Kids vaccines are a game changer. Now we're just getting into stuff weeks ago. I am not seeing, this is not, and I do mean I have not seen this.
I can tell you with more variants, specifically subvariants of Omicron circulating, more of us are...
Okay, coronavirus pandemic study, repeated COVID infections raising risk of long-term effects. Right, I saw this report 2 days ago, and it was a story because it should be.
Vulnerable for reinfection.
We are looking at the fall and winter. We're preparing for a variety of scenarios, I think, potentially a difficult one if we get a resurgence of the infection.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying. I mean, I don't know why these people don't ghostwrite for Stephen King. I'm still quivering.
Very, very scary. And by the way, if you have...
Again, not very scary. Normal people talking about normal shit. I would argue that there is more of a case to be made. Hold on. There you go. There's more of a case to be made that she is the one speaking in a fear-based, hyperbolic way.
Happen to be African American, they want you to be afraid of police because they'll tell you you're going to be indiscriminately killed for no reason other than the color of your skin, because it's an epidemic out there of police-involved shootings.
What exactly will it take to stop this level?
April 16th. Right after a shooting, I'm guessing.
Family pleas for justice after videos released of whatever this particular shooting.
Execution-style killing of black men and black women at the hands of law enforcement.
This needs to be at the top of the list for the Attorney General to address white supremacy and those organizations in law enforcement and outside of law enforcement around the country that are targeting black and brown people.
All right, well, that's an ugly lie. The truth is, if suspects simply do not resist arrest, they don't run away, they don't turn and look like they're firing a gun at police, the chance of being injured, let alone shot by a police officer, is
very low,
infinitesimally
right?
small.
Yes, we know this. But also taking spot reporting about any of these incidents and having the people that come on that are activists or other people talking about it specifically, especially people of that skin color talking about their own fear, is how can I put this in a way that she could understand it? It's almost like every time there's a fucking shooting and the NRA decides they're going to have a gun show near the site of where a bunch of kids were shot down because they think it's important that there's going to be a slippery slope, and there never will be.
But still, they want you afraid and not trusting of anyone in uniform, ever.
Well, I mean, depends on what kind of uniform you're talking about. I mean, it just means if I see a Trek red shirt, I'm staying away from them because shit's about to go down.
And of course, they want you afraid of climate change. Hello, why have children when the planet's going to burn up and flood?
Burn up and flood at the same time? I don't think that's what firewater means.
You need to rethink your carbon use, kids.
Climate is a code red now. We have to take action.
We have so little time. We need to be sort of throw everything at it that we can.
Yeah, again, this looks like people trying to solve a problem, not fear-mongering. There's this, like, we have to throw everything at it that we can is not, people need to stop eating and having babies. Like, what's the filter like on Laura Ingram's ears? Or is this just a Fox News thing?
They want you so panicked that you'll, in the end, be told.
Well, by the way, if they do, and I watch a lot of that shit, I watch more MSNBC than she does, it isn't working. Apparently, if that's their goal for me, they're failing miserably.
Totally fine with
I just like it when people look at a genuine threat and want to do something about it. Yeah, right.
Traveling less, paying $6, $7, $10 a gallon for gas for the good of the planet.
Well, I mean, it's down from $11 when Trump was president, so.
And by the way, then you can blame gas station owners for price gouging. Over the weekend, President Biden tweeted, well, a comment to mostly mom and pop shops who are just trying to get
mom and pop shots.
By now, saying,
my message to the companies running gas stations, not the moms and pops that are running gas stations. And setting prices at the pump is simple. This is a time of war and global peril. Bring down the price you're charging the pump to reflect the cost you are paying for the product, and do it now. Right, okay. So if the cost that they're paying for the product is not reflected in what they're selling, then they're price gouging. So these mom and pops obviously wouldn't be doing that. Not if they watch Fox News anyways, would they?
this is a time of global war and global peril. Bring down the price you're charging at the pump to reflect the cost you're paying for the product.
To reflect the cost you're paying, not to the cost you're paying for the product. Not, don't sell it wholesale. That's not the point. Sell it at a price point that's equal to the circumstance that you're purchasing the product for, instead of artificially elevating it. I don't have a problem reading these words. Someone was lovely enough to highlight them for me. My reading comprehension skills seem to be expanding the more I sit here.
And do it now. Now, if this is Biden's answer to...
No, it's a answer. It's a multi-pronged attack. That's definitely part of it. If it was the only thing he was doing, like, remember when Trump would just tweet and that was all he did about an issue?
My energy prices, the man's totally out of gas.
Yeah, see what I did there? Out of gas. That's amazing. Okay. And I work with Sean Hannity. Okay.
Now, they also want you afraid of speaking your...
Even speaking your mind has become a dangerous exercise. I have not found any problems. I mean, I have my fair share of trolls they're a little pitiful and silly.
Your mind, because if you do, you could lose your job.
Nah, I really couldn't. If I genuinely spoke my mind, I'm not going to lose my job. I'm honestly not. Even if I worked for a company that had sort of almost the most draconian rules, I don't think those kind of awful things in a way that I think they need to be shared for me to get some sort of credit for them being shared. Yeah.
Lose your promotion, lose your board seat, lose your
Oh, if I lose my board seat, then we're in trouble.
spot in college, even a position in the U.S. military.
Scheller posted a video on social media criticizing military leaders for mistakes made during the withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Yeah, while he was serving in his office. You don't get to do that. You're in the military. They have a hierarchy. You don't have the same rights and privileges as somebody outside the military, dummy. You say that inside the command. You don't get to post fucking videos. That's how you have a collapse in the chain of command in a military. Like this is last year.
And demanding accountability, Scheller was relieved of duty.
Today's decision to
and now he's selling Dr. Seuss books door to door.
stop publishing 6 Dr. Seuss books comes after they've been criticized for spreading racist images.
As a small but growing revolt of artists.
Joe Rogan responds, okay, again, this is a choice by the family that owns the rights to the Dr. Seuss books to discontinue like printing them, which, by the way, are the lowest selling ones in the catalog. You can still get them. This is ancient news. Also, we're dealing with Joe Rogan and people not wanting to share Spotify with them. Spotify rips off artists anyways.
Scrubbed their music from the streaming platform. Specifically took issue with the Joe Rogan Experience.
The University of Virginia says it recently disenrolled 49 students who signed up for classes but then failed to provide a vaccine card.
Okay. Right. And? Private institution. Uh-huh.
And after the horror that was visited upon Highland Park yesterday,
by a guy who loved to take pictures of himself in a Trump flag.
They even want you afraid of attending patriotic celebrations.
No. We want people to be able to go to those things without being afraid. You want everyone to be afraid of attending any outdoor public thing, because any fuckhead who wants to get an AR-15 and hang out on a rooftop should have that right, because he's a lawful gun owner up till the second he pulls the trigger.
A 4th of July tradition is just too dangerous going forward.
No place is safe, and this showing that there are no holidays for mass shootings in America.
We have to do.
There are no holidays from mass shootings in America. No place is safe. And again, that's not we shouldn't have these. It's that we should be able to have these.
Something now, and no community is safe. No community is safe.
Right. This is just odd.
Wealthy suburb of Chicago, maybe the quintessential American city in the heartland, on the 4th of July at a parade. If you're not safe there, where are you safe?
Okay. The shooting happens every weekend, by the way, in Chicago.
Yeah, but those are usually beefs between people or crimes in progress. That is a wholly different thing. And they are happening, by the way, in very specific neighborhoods where you're like, don't go to that neighborhood. It's fucking dangerous. That's a wholly separate thing than some lunatic killing people for no reason. This is the modern serial killer in a lot of ways. That's what we're dealing with here. They just have access to these weapons so easily, and they plan these things out where there's no limitation on how long they could stay up there. He could have stayed up there firing, because there's just no end to the number of magazines he can get before he gets a knock on his door. because of Fox News.
St. Louis, Baltimore, they don't have that, freaked out view on their faces, but because it's Highland.
No, that's a totally different issue. And again, there's a distinct problem there. Ghost guns, gang stuff, there's interpersonal and domestic violence. You handle those things differently. This is separate from all that and almost uniquely American problem where some asshole can get an AR-15 or outfit a Glock for full auto, stack it with as much rounds as he wants, and nobody says a thing until he's already firing. That's not something you regulate over time. This guy didn't have a criminal record. And there were several red flags that should have made it difficult for him to get that kind of a weapon. But the network you are on actively fights against any of those limitations.
Park, oh yes. But using this evil act to try to wipe out patriotic traditions, which is ultimately what's going on here.
No, it isn't. He was a Trump supporter who opened fire on a July 4th celebration. He's a Fox News fan. He opened fire on this patriotic tradition. There was not a liberal on that rooftop saying that this needs to end. We need to stop saluting the flag or singing the national anthem or having fucking parades or having firemen hand out candy on the street to celebrate the fact that we're a democracy. Didn't happen, not going to happen, not an issue.
Is a new low, even for the left.
Well, you can make up any low you want and then attribute it to whomever you want. It's goofy.
Now, of course, they want you also afraid to own a gun or to apply for a concealed carry permit because they're going to make sure that your name and your address leaks accidentally, as they did in California.
Leak of California concealed carry permit data is larger than initially reported. Okay, well, let's see. So it's a leak in air quotes, she's saying. DOJ gun data leak exposed judge prosecutor info. California Department of Justice confirms data breach leaking the information more than 200,000 concealed. Okay, this is JD Supra. Political fallout of California. That's the LA Times article on it. Okay. Leak of Okay, here we go. This is the article. Leak of California concealed carry permit data is larger than initially reported. Sales associate arranges guns on display. Okay. A massive leak of personal information from California state database for permits to carry concealed weapons is larger than initially reported, officials said Wednesday when they reported that how large it actually was. The revelation came a day after the Fresno County Sheriff's Office said it was informed of a data breach affecting every person with a California concealed carry permit. We'll look at that in a second. On Wednesday, the California Department of Justice said the leak was more extensive, affecting not only current permit holders, but anybody who was granted or denied a permit to carry a concealed weapon between 2011 and 2021. The data was exposed when the Department of Justice updated its firearms dashboard portal on Monday. Attorney General Rob Bonta's office said in a statement, the information included names, dates of birth, gender, race, driver's license numbers, addresses, criminal histories. According to the statement, Social security numbers and financial information were not exposed. In addition to information that the concealed carry permit applications date on the assault weapons registry, handguns certified for sale, dealer record of sale, firearm safety certificate, and gun violence restraining order dashboards were also impacted. Bonta's office said, but authorities are investigating whether any personally identifiable information was exposed from those dashboards. This unauthorized release of personal information is unacceptable and falls far short of my expectations for this department. I immediately launched an investigation on how this occurred at the California Department of Justice and will take strong corrective measures where necessary. The Justice Department is entrusted to protect California and their data. He said, adding that he was deeply disturbed and angered. The California Sheriff's Association said it was alarmed to learn of the breach. It was infuriating. The people who have been complying with the law have been put at a risk by this breach. The California sheriffs are concerned about this data breach and the risk it poses to California CCW permit holders. It appears that before the breach was detected by DOJ, the information was copied and at least some portion of it was posted on the internet. Justice Department officials said the data was exposed for less than 24 hours. The department had posted updates to the portal Monday and was later made aware of a disclosure of personal information that was accessible in a spreadsheet on the portal. The agency statement said the officials removed the information from public view and shut down the firearms dashboard Tuesday. The association demanded the justice. Leaked data puts people at risk. So the portal showed the information, but unless you were going there to get it and knew it was in breach, you couldn't do anything with it. And by the time you would have, it was too late. The agency will provide credit monitoring services for those whose data were exposed by the leak. Again, exposed by the leak. Will directly contact individuals to provide instructions on how to sign up. Yeah, it is not clear to me in that someone actually hacked and took the data, just that it was publicly available when it should not have been for a period of time.
But instead of selling fear and division, wouldn't it be nice if we all began to focus on solutions? Don't
Jesus Christ. You work for Fox News, lady.
people want solutions?
Yeah, I talk about them all the time.
Sense they do.
What? And that's where you're going next, this fucker? Don't people want solutions? Why are you focusing on problems? Meanwhile...
Now, on the mass shooting in Illinois, indications are that Robert Crimo was a regular pot user. Now...
So? There's no line between pot use and violence. There's no measurable one.
One look at him, and to the untrained eye, he looks like a complete psychotic. Have you ever seen anyone looking like him? And what can regular pot use trigger in young men in particular? Psychosis and other violent personality changes.
Okay, I don't know why she doesn't just take this on the road and do her own version of Reefer Madness, like a one-woman show, kind of like vagina monologues, marijuana monologues kind of thing.
Changes. Not everyone, but a significant percentage. Now, police say that in 2019, they were called to the shooter's home twice.
And they took his knives away.
The first was in April 2019 after a reported suicide attempt by Crimo, and the second was in September 2019 after receiving a call from a family member who said he was threatening to kill everyone. Police removed 16 knives, a dagger, and a sword from the house, but they say there was no probable cause to make an arrest at the time.
There isn't. And unless you want thought police or speech police, which, again, so when is somebody going to talk to the Fox News assholes when they say stuff like this and go, so you want people arrested for saying they're going to do stuff? Arrested for that. Not, I mean, I think more than likely the people at Fox News think the removal of knives and swords from the house is a step too far. Removing arms from the home because they say that would be a violation of that person's rights, much less arresting them.
Just kind of run-of-the-mill behavior, I guess. And much of his online presence points to simmering psychosis because...
But that's true of Charlie Kirk, though.
Under the stage name Awake the Rapper, he posted a disturbing music video, and this was back in 2021, that featured drawings of a stick figure wearing a tactical gear, carrying an attack with a rifle.
Wearing a tactical gear.
Newspaper clipping about Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated JFK. Totally off-the-wall stuff. Now, we know he planned the attack for weeks and even disguised himself as a woman to get away. Again, all the signs were there.
Well, it's not a sign if it was something that happened after. All right.
But in a positive development over the past few weeks,
we do realize that he is a MAGA supporter, and he's a maggot, and he was always a maggot, and he liked being one.
The media seemed to be recognizing the danger of sustained high THC content in young people, regular use among young people. Now, it only took them, 4 years to catch up to what the science and ER nurses and doctors were screaming about in places.
Hold on. Let's grab this. And by the way, remember, if you will, this is a segment about how the left wants you to be afraid. And this is a story about how psychotic children are going to start murdering you because of high THC content. Chronic vomiting. That's okay. That's the Indian Express. That's from the New York Times. News. Okay, here you go. This is the article she's talking about. Psychosis, addiction, chronic vomiting. As weed becomes more potent, teens are getting sick. With THC levels close to 100%, today's cannabis products are making some teenagers highly dependent and dangerously ill. Elise was 14 when she started vaping cannabis. It didn't smell, which made it easy to hide from her parents. It was convenient. Just press a button and inhale. After the second, third try, she was hooked. It's insane euphoria. Everything was moving slowly. I got super hungry. Everything was hilarious. But the euphoria eventually morphed into something more disturbing. Sometimes the marijuana would make Elise feel more anxious or sad. Another time she passed out in the shower, only to wake up a half hour later. This was not your average weed. The oil and waxes she bought from dealers were typically about 90% THC, the psychoactive component in marijuana, because she's not smoking pot. She's vaping the chemical from it. This is not the same thing. And part of the problem. Also, it's illegal for her to be doing that for the very same reason. Imagine a story, if you will, of her drinking straight bourbon or Bacardi or something. It didn't smell, so I could hide it from my parents. I would drink it. Like they wouldn't find beer cans. I could get high a lot quicker. And one time I got drunk and fell asleep in the shower. Okay. Also made me anxious and angry or emotional, blah, blah, blah. Okay. We got her in a program to help her with it. We tried tough love. We tried everything, to be honest with you. Lisa's father said of her addiction, starting in 2020, she had mysterious bouts of illness where she would throw up over and over again. At first, she and her parents and even her doctors were baffled. During one episode, she said, I felt like my body was levitating. Another time, she estimated that she threw up at least 20 times in the span of 2 hours. Yeesh. Wasn't until 2021, after a half dozen trips to the emergency room for stomach illness, including some hospital stays, that a gastroenterologist diagnosed her with cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, a condition that causes recurrent vomiting in heavy marijuana users. Although recreational cannabis is illegal in the United States for those under 21, it's become more accessible as many states have legalized it. But experts say today's high THC cannabis products, vastly different than the joint smoked decades ago, are poisoning some heavy users, including teenagers. This is true. That's the part where it stops being natural. The whole natural plant thing is ridiculous. If you're taking large doses of, edibles with tremendous amounts of THC in them, or you're vaping, these direct shots of it as opposed to smoking it. I mean, it's the same thing with like sweet alcoholic drinks, like hard lemonade and stuff like that, to like hide the flavor of alcohol so it's easier to consume. It makes you, there's a tendency to consume more than you would if you were actually tasting what it actually tasted like. Marijuana is not as dangerous a drug like fentanyl, but it can have potential harmful effects, especially for young people whose brains are still developing. In addition to uncontrollable vomiting and addiction, adolescents who frequently use high doses of cannabis may also experience psychosis that could possibly lead to lifelong psychiatric disorder, increased likelihood of development of depression, and also homicidal ideation. Changes in brain anatomy and connectivity and poor memory. But definitely poor memory. That was always the joke for a long time. That's been the one that's around for the longest. I felt so trapped. In 95, the average concentration of THC in cannabis samples seized by the Drug Enforcement Agency was about 4%. This is the whole natural argument part that I have a problem with. Right? That's the issue. Cite the source. In this one, it's there's a couple of things. This is anecdotal to their talking about this. The National Library of Medicine, changes in cannabis potency over the last 2 decades, 95 to 2014. Analysis of current data in the United States. Background, most widely used illicit drug in the U.S. all over the world. Reports indicate potency of cannabis preparation has been increasing. This report examines the concentration of cannabinoids in illicit cannabis products seized by the DEA over the last 2 decades, with particular emphasis on THC cannabinoids, CBD. These are the samples received over time from DEA confiscated materials over the last couple decades. A total of 38,681 samples of cannabis preparations were received. And this is the difference. Cannabis preparations. This is not pot and weed. This isn't people smoking it. And even, as weed gets more potent, it's still different when you're consuming it and regulating how much you're taking in by the feeling you get and the work of smoking something that is hot smoke, which is different than doing the vaping, which is a different element. You're just speed shotting stuff. It's like the difference between drinking a beer and shotgunning a beer for a teenager or a kid especially. Data showed that while the number of marijuana samples seized over the last 4 years has declined, because more of it's legal, so you don't have to seize it, the number of sinsemilla samples has increased. Overall, the potency of illicit cannabis plant material has consistently risen since 1995, from approximately 40% in 95 to approximately 12% in 2014. On the other hand, the CBD content has fallen on average from approximately 0.28 to 0.15. So CBD oil is getting having less THC in it over time because people don't want like CBD for its, to get high. They want it to treat some sort of medical issue, and the less high it gets you, the better, resulting in a change in the ratio of THC to CBD from 14 times in 1995 to approximately 80 times in 2014. All right. There's a shift in production of illicit cannabis plant material from regular marijuana to sinsemilla. This increase in potency poses higher risk on cannabis use, particularly among adolescents. We know this. This is also not his problem.
Places like Colorado and California, they saw it with their own eyes. So the New York Times writes, one rigorous study found that the risk of having psychotic disorder was 5 times higher among daily high-potency cannabis users in Europe and Brazil than those who had never used it.
Yeah, but what's the rate of people who have highly addictive personalities and the rate of psychosis or psychiatric predisposition, psychiatric problems and their predisposition towards it before they start being addicted to high cannabinoid use? That's correlation causation. It's not bad. It's worth talking about.
Dr. Sharon Levy from Boston's Children's Hospital told the paper, the younger you are, the more vulnerable your brain is to developing these problems.
Well, yeah, there's not a lot of late adult onset psychosis until you're approaching dementia.
But for some reason, you're thinking about all these horrific acts of evil that have been perpetrated on the American public. We still, weeks later, don't have a toxicology report from the Uvalde mass shooter.
You think that would have been the primary turn? You think he was high on weed at the time?
Despite early reports that he was a regular weed user.
We still don't have info about Uvalde shooter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the National Review is doing big articles on this. This is the Daily Callers saying this is New York Times quietly removed reference to Uvalde shooter complaining grandma wouldn't allow him to smoke weed. This is from the Daily Callers. This is what's his name? Tucker Carlson site. The New York Times quietly removed reference to Uvalde's original article from the New York Times quoted Jocelyn Rodriguez, Wendy's co-worker of the shooter, recalled how the shooter would often talk about how much he despised his mother and grandmother. He killed both of them, right? Whom he told her did not let him smoke weed or do what he wanted. According to screenshots of the article posted by Berenson, before heading to Robert Kelly, he shot his grandmother. 2 days after the shooting, Berenson noted the reference to the weed was removed from the article. It's because they couldn't. What are you going to do? Ask his grandmother? She's fucking dead. It's hearsay. The New York Times did not issue a correction, as would be customary. The New York Times has curiously removed from the article the Uvalde school shooter, former co-worker's recollection, complaining about his mother wouldn't let him smoke weed. Again, that wasn't the primary reason why he killed her. Anyways, this is consistent for her.
Why the delay? Congress.
Why do you fucking think it's crucial to this turnout, to the circumstance? Was he wearing a pot shirt? Was he flying a legalization banner?
Rushed in to pass this gun control bill.
And one of the things that they would do is that young people can't be trusted not to smoke illicit weed, I suppose. So why should they be trusted with a gun, dummy?
The aftermath of the just heinous shooting. But where's the demand for answers on other key aspects of the case?
Well, since none of them are trackable and provable as a reason for it are, if we have limited resources, limited time, and limited solutions, one of the best ways you do it is just keep guns out of the hands of people that young, because they are in general incapable of making those kind of decisions, especially if they have previous psychiatric issues or any of that shit.
No curiosity there whatsoever?
No, it's just the curiosity isn't going to solve this.
Well, let me tell you this.
Let me tell you this.
The marijuana industry is making billions on the lie that weed is fine, no big deal, and even for young people, healthy people, it's great. It could be healthy for you, in fact. No one is arguing, by the way, nor have I, that most people who use high THC products end up as violent psychotics. That's ridiculous. But there is mounting scientific evidence of a connection between the increase in violent behavior among young people and regular sustained cannabis use. So if the
all right, again, a correlative or causal study, like that distinction is important to make in this case, but that's not why she's into this. She just wants to pull any attention away from the guns. Because when this asshole just had knives in his house and didn't have an AR-15, and he said he was going to kill everybody, which happened before he had an AR-15, he said this, the family called the cops, and they came and removed the knives. After the difference between that guy, psychologically, and in terms of, what is his desire to carry out hate in the world, the difference between that time and now is that he was able to get his hands on a gun that could hold dozens of rounds.
media wants to spend time scaring people, focus on scaring young people away from...
Again, what the fuck is this? What are we supposed to... Oh my God. How long before my neighbor's kid, who I'm pretty sure smokes pot because he's got a neck tattoo and listens to drill rap, is going to snap because of his weed use? I could smell it. It's like a skunk coming out of his window. He's going to snap and kill everybody. What? This is the same fear shit she's talking about.
From what? What would make sense? What would actually be helpful?
Removing the guns from the situation, because a psycho with a knife, no, there are no stray knives. If this fucker was on a rooftop chucking cutlery, we wouldn't have a body count, except him maybe.
Scare them away from using this drug.
Oh, I see. You should be afraid, but be afraid of. So she's going from they want you to be afraid to I want you to be afraid. She herself wants you to be afraid.
As young people. But I'll tell you, the pot industry is extremely well funded. And it's even protected by some high-placed Republicans.
Uh-oh.
Remember, former House Speaker John Boehner saw a quick buck to be made and joined an advisory board of a big pot company after being against legalizing pot.
That's not John Boehner, just in case you were wondering. He didn't smoke weed. He wasn't a white Republican and then turned into a black man after smoking weed, as Laura would want you to believe, I suppose.
And Democrats like New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
Oh, okay. It was just somebody in her booth changed the scenes too quickly. I mean, that would look like, it looked like John Boehner, who you might remember as a wonderful Republican, a decent, good, kindly man, left office, smoked weed once, and bang, turned into a bald black dude. It's horrifying. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
After being against legalizing pot. And Democrats like New York City Mayor Eric Adams sees the extra tax revenue from pot. It's great for him. It's disgusting when you visit New York. So Big Weed uses its well-paid pot-pushing media allies and social media influencers to trash anyone who questions the mad rush to legalization.
Look at these people, these hipsters, these chicks with their rings on their second finger segment, on their mid-digit rings, and look at this guy's smoking. He's got a cube. He's got a tin of tater tots just so because he knows he's going to go fucking bonkers.
I can tell you this, I don't give a rip. They trash me morning, noon, and night. I don't care, because they're pushing pot on our kids. We're pushing for answers and accountability. These are the eyes of some of the mass killers who've reportedly been regular pot users.
All right. So that means of all the mass killers, of which there are a ridiculous number, the rest of them aren't regular pot users. So
look at them. Those in politics and in the media who devote their time and energy to fear-mongering on fake issues
should start fear-mongering on weed.
While covering up the truth about the growing scourge of violent psychosis in our young people. They have to be called out, they have to be defeated, and then the public has to be educated. And parents, this means you need to get into the game. This means you understand.
Yeah, stop letting your kids smoke the reefer. Well, not smoke it, buy a concentrated oil of like 6,000 joints and vape it directly into their lungs.
Understanding that this can happen to you, to your family, no matter how wealthy you are, how well adjusted you are, how mature and together your children seem. It's time to call out the phonies and call in the warriors for common sense.
Call in the warriors for common sense. And the one thing we have to do is get rid of like the extremity of like people vaping, because that's really the issue.
Uh-oh. Now our villain of the day, Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell, because despite Swalwell's ties...
As long as nobody's vaping in the office.
And that's the angle.
Hey, I was fucked up. I was totally puffing away. That's a jewel, I think, by the way. Like the...
Uh-oh. Now our villain of the day, Adam...
Now a villain of the day, Adam Schiff. Obviously, this is what happens when people smoke pot. It makes them paranoid. It's, yeah. I mean, how am I supposed to trust somebody whose brain is that whacked out on drugs? Thanks, Laura. Thanks for pointing that out, that your coworkers are cranked out of their ass on wacky tobacco. Yeah, so that vaping weed, essentially vaping CBD or THC oil, concentrated pot is the issue in this situation. Or like smoking super weed nonstop and cooking your brain. Also, alcohol destroys young brains as well. We know this. We also know that there's a section of the populace that will drink when they're young and get over it. And there's a section that will drink when they're young, get addicted. And there's a section that will drink when they're young and die in a fucking car accident or drive their car into another group of people and kill them, oftentimes with a body count as high or higher than some of these mass shooters. Keep your kids away from this kind of shit. Let their brains form entirely before they start doing this. And like easing them into it is fucking stupid. Sorry. And again, you have to understand, I, unlike Laura Ingraham, have never been drunk. Never done drugs. I've never smoked weed. I have no interest in it. I'm fucking weird enough. I don't need any help being weird. You potheads and your temporary weird, where you're like, I'll be weird for a little while and then go back to not being weird. Yeah, never been drunk, nothing. And I know for a fact that Laura Ingraham has. Well, by anecdote, but so for the record. All right, now, I have enough time, I hope, for this next one because, oh, God damn it, there's so much stuff. Ugh, I'm going to have to do these separately. Okay. Christ. Okay. Let's talk misery for a minute. Since we've dealt with fear today, we've dealt with the collapse of an entire country, a failed state, the Jimmy Dore jihad, the Jihad Dore show. Let's talk about just total and absolute depression, end times level fear, and a married couple with 50% of the shittiest acting you've ever seen in your life, moving a bunch of pieces of paper on the table while they talk in one of the most awkward ways, in awkward fashions that I've ever seen. Like, we deal with this a lot, folks. When we do bits about them, one of the things that always stands out is their odd need to straighten the paper. Both of these folks are lunatics. She, in case you're not keeping up, is more racist than he is, which is incredible. We thought she'd be a mitigating factor. We were wrong. And both of them are dealing with a lot of suppressed emotion and their own kind of craziness, I would say. And one of the ways that they maintain is by constantly making sure that the paper is square and the pen is in the middle of the piece of paper. Just keep an eye out while this happens, because I'm telling you, it's going to be part of this. This is, by the way, so I know a lot of you are concerned, say, that the Supreme Court just upended Miranda rights for, Americans, that it upended, it destroyed the power of the EPA to deal with climate change on some fronts. Not as bad as people make it out to be, but an attempt to make it worse, and they just couldn't get there. They wanna, oh boy, they wanna, but they only have a limited power in this situation. Most of it is remedied and doesn't need to be done anyway. So they just kind of want to win, like on their chalkboard. Like, well, we kicked off one of those climate change things, and it's one that we can move right past. It's not going to harm anything. Anyways, and then what was the other one? Oh yes, Roe v. Wade, right? You might think that not only eliminates a woman's right to choose, but also any illusion you had of medical privacy. And I've often said, if there's a slippery slope in any of this, the U.S. government can now put a chip in your body and leave it there and make you leave it there because it's less of an imposition than a fetus. And if they can make you carry that fucking thing to term, then they can put anything they want in your body and make you keep it because it's for your own good. So I don't understand how these paranoid fucks let this stuff slide, but we're about to find out why, according to them, a progressive Supreme Court would be the end of our basic liberties. So the conservative Supreme Court is the end of our like extraordinary liberties or our special liberties or our extra credit liberties. But the progressive one would just get rid of everything. Okay, let's see. So, what's going to go? And they've got a lot of notes. They've got a map. Clearly, this has something to do with Wisconsin. Let's see.
And what an incredible week it's been on so many fronts, but notably with the Supreme Court. And, I got to say, this is, I don't know if the right phrase is Trump's revenge, but the court has come through in a big way.
No.
The right phrase is Trump's revenge. I disagree. Trump was able to do this. The Heritage Foundation had a list of these people. They definitely want them done. But the revenge, this is really Susan Sarandon's revenge. This is really TYT's revenge. This is really Jimmy Dore's revenge. This is really, the revenge of the progressives. If we can't have Bernie, the whole thing should burn down. That was the result of 2016, and that's when these people, fait accompli, were going to be put in place.
I mean, just you talking to Kelly, last segment.
Yeah, we didn't watch the last segment. You posted this. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It's unbelievable that
it's quite believable
that we could literally lose our religious freedom in this country, our gun rights, pretty much every right that we have in the Constitution if we had liberal judges.
No, we've had liberal judges. Actually, we've had a court that trended liberal quite a bit, and that's not what happened at all. They were shockingly not activists around this.
I mean, I think that is the takeaway.
That's the takeaway, is that it's not that our side is running roughshod over people's basic liberties, is that the other side would, but in a way we wouldn't like. And therefore, that's what makes it bad.
because the three.
Why is she not talking to the screen? Because they do seem very quiet. Let me turn there. I don't know. They do this a lot. It's like, I feel like I've walked in on them in a cafe and it's one of those sharing table places. And I'm like, oh, this is unfortunate.
The three judges that, were, I guess you call them dissenters, right?
The dissenters. Well, and by the way, in one of these, especially the native lands, the sovereignty issue, Gorsuch actually sided with the liberals. It was a 5-4.
They were, they don't believe in religious freedom.
I mean, they have a whole different take on all this stuff.
Yeah, to explain, you know what? Maybe people, sorry, they're too loud now. Maybe people don't understand just, what an attack was going on religious liberty because this guy couldn't lead students in prayer in the middle of a football field at a high school. All right.
And so their view of religious freedom is official government hostility to religion.
No, just not official government sanctioning of it, which would entail this allowing these kind of things on school grounds, center field on a fucking football field.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
Their view is that the Second Amendment has got to be taken with a grain of salt.
Yeah, well, the whole well-regulated militia thing is sort of a giant salt lick.
So if it means anything, it does.
It means that we should know how many guns you have and how much ammo you have at all times, in case we need to call you up as part of the militia, bruh.
Doesn't prohibit gun regulations. And then what I find remarkable.
It doesn't, the Second Amendment does not prohibit gun regulation. Well regulating a militia is part of that gun regulation.
Is they want to import rights, like the abortion right, that's nowhere in the Constitution.
Right.
That's because the medical ability to have something like that didn't exist at that time. You don't have a right to an MRI either, dumb fuck. If you had a religious objection to people getting MRIs or blood transfusions or organs, being transplanted into people, you wouldn't be able to act on that simply because in the Constitution there was no mention of kidney transplants.
So they want to get rid of rights that are there.
Right.
Yeah, like the right to buy an airline ticket or...
And then import rights that are not there.
Well, I mean, and it makes you wonder.
Medical privacy is one of it's one of the primary parts. Bodily autonomy, even. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Your life, your liberty, and the pursuit of your happiness.
How well they know the Constitution, because as Kelly pointed out, Sotomayor was talking about separation of church and state, which is not even in the Constitution.
It's not even in the Constitution.
To begin with. So
yes, it is. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The no law respecting an establishment of religion. Now, you can read that two ways. No law respecting an establishment as in a building, as in a church, an establishment of religion. One of these places, that's another language of art for a church, an establishment of religion. Or establishing a religion as the primary religion of the country, or which would be reinforcing that. So nobody would have a right to override the lack of an establishment of that religion on any grounds, even by being the majority of people. Prohibiting the free exercise thereof is the tricky part. That's where you can do it all you want. You can pray in your head, but organizing around it is a misuse of especially public grounds.
Well, I think she knows that. I think what she's doing is, and this is their notion of the living constitution,
Right.
they will take a letter that Jefferson wrote in 1803 and import it as if it's constitutional doctrine. Why?
Oh
Because
my
it's
God.
convenient.
These pricks are always talking about the Federalist Papers. Hold on. Let me see if there's a Federalist. Okay. Trying to find one of the well, here you go. The Federalist Papers. Hold on. Society. Whoops. Yeah. So the Federalist Society is literally a group of conservatives who believe you should be able to interpret Supreme Court law around the Federalist Papers, which is exactly what he's saying Sonia Sotomayor does, and in reference to trying to find out what they meant by the language in the Constitution.
For them.
Right.
So this idea of a wall of separation is something that they've been putting into effect for 50 years.
Yeah. So the live constitution.
Uh-huh.
And it changes with the whims of society, basically.
No, because the whim of society could be Sharia law at one point, and this would stop that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I think it's interesting here now when we're talking about gun rights. This is the New York case. Justice Thomas does a little foray into American history.
Oh, so he cites stuff based on what he thinks should be referential to. All right.
And he goes back to the time of the Civil War when Justice Taney, the Democratic appointee judge, by the way, the author of the Dred Scott decision, essentially Taney goes, that one of the bad things about making black citizens is that next thing you know, they're going to be able to own guns,
Oh, no.
and Thomas.
Oh, no. Yes, that's how they spoke back then.
His point is exactly. In other words, the gun is an instrument of self-defense. Taney was trying to deny that right. But see, notice that Taney concedes it is a right, that there is a gun right. And his point is
He
that
just doesn't want to give it to him.
He just doesn't want, he just wants.
Well, they also would be part of getting a gun didn't mean just getting a gun or having a gun for self-defense. Nobody sought to do that. Stockpiling weapons or being, creating your own little, fiefdom around the arms that you can gather was a concern even back then. And if you have your rights as a gun owner, you would also be part of that quote unquote well-regulated militia, meaning that you would have to fight alongside of them, meaning that they would be an integral part of the country.
To keep blacks
right.
out of those rights, and so he doesn't want to allow them to.
So when you pick and choose what the Second Amendment is for, that's...
Yes, when you pick and choose what the Second Amendment is for, a lot of times you'll come up with, these no regulations whatsoever. The right of the people.
That's when you start getting into that slippery slope.
Yeah, you know what? It's, nitpicking, I know, but cutting off the entire preamble to the Second Amendment and only focusing on the infringement aspect of it is the problem.
Of taking away guns from these people. And
also, by the way, I think he owns guns for show. She doesn't have a gun. Neither one of them can shoot. This is all puffery from both of them.
Not these people. And, as you know, the people that keep guns are the bad people, the criminals. And in some instances, the bad government.
Yeah, so you might need guns so you can shoot cops and soldiers. Honey, I mean, you're a big fan of January 6th. Maybe we should have been armed.
Right. What's your take on this abortion decision? Because
yeah, you're a chick.
The left is shrieking about it. They're acting like it's the end of the world. We kind of knew that they would.
Yeah. It's not surprising. As you know, I've been kind of an activist with this cause for a while. And in 2014 in Texas, I witnessed freaks of nature
That's adorable.
coming to the state capitol and protesting and chanting "Hail Satan." I mean, it was just like I couldn't even believe it.
Well, that's because they were being accused of being satanic. They were being ironic. Obviously, we're talking about two literalists who are also morons. I mean, I think that's the dangerous recipe here, is that you have these two people who are overly literal about things and at the same time themselves simpletons. And so real personality, real issues, real cries for help, real concern over the ramifications of things, they weaponize and sell those things so often that they don't ever expect to experience themselves. Like I said, they're not gun owners.
These people were bussed in from all over the country to try to fight some laws that were trying to be passed in the state legislature in Texas.
Because they were afraid women would die, which is freakish.
Ambulatory law.
I mean, it was
the ambulatory law, so no one who can walk or move of their own ability.
Very modest
very
restriction.
modest restriction, 20 weeks, all those things that were very modest. And these people acted like the world was coming to an end. They would shackle themselves to the railing of the Capitol building. They would, it was just horrific.
Well,
Hold on 1 second. I wish she was posting footage of this. 2014 Austin choice rally. Oh, this is the Wendy Davis thing, right? Is that around it? Okay. Stop attacks on reproductive. Okay, no news. 2014 Austin choice. It's gonna. Why can't I? Working harder for adolescents. Okay, is that? Okay, there's just. I'm still finding the 20. Yeah, where is it? Okay, 2014 Austin pro-choice protest. I guess. I don't want 2 days ago. I don't want the newest stuff. I literally want the year. Tax abortion on student travel. Okay. Yeah, here you go. So this is the Texas student creates travel fund for abortions. This is around that time. Let's see, reproductive Lilith Fund for reproductive equity. Like mandatory 24-hour waiting period. Texas legislature imposed a waiting period as part of their 2011 abortion sonogram law, which requires physicians to perform a sonogram 24 hours ahead of an abortion. They do it anyways. Most of the time, if there's any hesitation on it, we won't do it. I think we're mostly mad because it's working. Blah, blah. Where is this business? Hold on. State witness defend HB2 testimony coached by a protest president. This is the HB2 trial. That's what they're talking about. This is in the Austin Chronicle. Freaks of nature. There we go. This Catholic weeps for suffering Texas women. And then there's another lady, total freaks of nature. Among the state defense witnesses who took the stand on the third day of the trial against Texas abortion restriction House Bill 2 were 2 women with overt objections to abortion and 1 physician whose testimony in support of the abortion regulations was recently discredited by a federal court. Additionally, questions arose whether the Attorney General's office coached and aided in witness testimony. After 2 days of plaintiff testimony in the U.S. Judge Lee Yeakel's courtroom, it was the state's turn to offer its witnesses. On Wednesday, Dr. Mayra Jimenez Thompson, a Dallas-based OB-GYN, testified, and it was clear from the outset that Thompson was anti-choice. She said she had not performed an abortion in 20 years because of her religious beliefs. In cross-examination, plaintiffs repeatedly asked Thompson if the Attorney General's office Specifically, Dr. Vincent Rue, a representative of the office, had provided guidance or advice in her expert testimony. Initially, she steadfastly denied any involvement from the OAG, saying she alone had drafted the document. However, in hopes of refreshing her recollection, plaintiffs produced several damning email exchanges between her and Rue, indicating constant assistance in drafting and modifying versions of the report. Including, I'm still drafting, we'll keep you posted, tried to use as much of your material as I could, but time ran out, just want you to review, I've been working on the draft. Thompson defended the assistant, saying she was a medical doctor, not trained in legalese and the proper wordage of court testimony. Rue wasn't lending a hand. Okay, this is she's got paid $50,000. Okay, blah, blah, blah. The Thompsons answered no and asked if she had financial ownership interest in ambulatory surgical centers, and that's the whole thing. Like, these, have to have admittance rights to, and so they, by denying these admittance rights or saying that like ambulances won't carry you from place to place, you could basically deny people's rights by owning, buying up these ambulatory services. And when questions about Rue's influence, I said, okay, this is back and forth about her controlling the thing and blah, blah, blah. Final witness, Tom Giberson, a geographer who conducted research about the number of reproductive age women living 150 miles from a clinic, did not take into account women who would be unable to secure access to a car, such as poor women along the U.S.-Mexico border, and included a facility in New Mexico as a clinic within reach for those residing in El Paso. So you're not talking about state rules. That's what she's talking about.
You know what's an interesting
And
item?
also, it's just women worried that women are going to die. And men, I suppose, worried that women are going to die.
When Elizabeth Prelagar, the Solicitor General, goes before the court almost was trying to test her and see if she was open to some compromise. So they would say things like, well, would you concede that there may be room under Roe to allow certain types of regulation of abortion? No. In other words, she defined it as extremes. Either you accept Roe, and if you accept Roe, it's basically abortion on demand, by and large, for 9 months. Or you strike down Roe.
No. The issue for under Roe isn't that under Roe you could write rules about the limitations on abortion. It's that Roe doesn't apply to abortion. It applies to the medical privacy of a woman making this decision in her own life between her and her doctor, maybe her partner and her priest or her minister, or if that matters. Roe doesn't cover the rest of it. It's not part and parcel to the conversation. So states could and did and have regulated certain limits on it, mainly based on trimesters and viability. But it's not based on Roe. The Roe, that's different.
And so I think the court decided, you know what? Strike it down.
Yeah.
If you're forcing us to choose between these two extremes.
It was her fault.
Then we're going to go with this one because Roe has no constitutional foundation at all.
Yeah, also, I don't want to hear shit about your HIPAA rights. Yeah, exactly, Dragonflyer. Roe v. Wade protected HIPAA rights. You don't have them anymore. If a company wants to sell your medical data, have fun.
Well, as you know, the bad media, which is all media, basically.
You're on media. You're on YouTube, owned by Alphabet, owned by Google, and you have a podcast that's on multiple sources. You are media.
Basically, has actually given them reason to get upset and scream like they're having some kind of satanic.
Yeah, the stupid thing that the media does about showing the history of abortion before it was legal, where women died of septicemia or were unable to have childron again.
They've
been under the court's exorcism.
Exactly, because as we've talked about, Roe,
Also, what am I doing here, you two? If you're not going to look at me, why am I even here? What is happening? Why are people watching just kind of a chit chat between the two of you on a flat table? I mean, the production value is ass. Also, if you'll notice, his paper has lined up perfectly with the paper above it, and he's been working at that for the last 5 minutes.
Striking down Roe does not mean that women cannot have abortion. If they want to go to California, if they want to go to New York.
Yeah, just have the money to do it. And if you want to, as a woman, you should have rights in some states that you don't have in others. Like men do. I'm sure they're going to outlaw vasectomies in California, because why would you need one? You can just have an abortion. So you'll have to go to Texas for a steak and vasectomy.
Or any other state, Washington, they can have abortions. And sadly, some places even allow abortions after the baby's actually born.
Bullshit. Again, that's just fucking garbage. No, they don't. You're not allowed to kill a baby that's just been born. Shut the fuck up. That's not a thing. Never has been. That's nuts. What the fuck is that? I mean, first of all, when the governor, the previous governor of Virginia, was talking about the issues when a woman gives birth to a non-viable baby, where its fucking heart is outside its body and it's not gonna live, and they have to make a decision about the process. Do they resuscitate the child? Do they keep it on life support when it's going to live 8 days, or do they just let it pass away naturally because it's not ever going to survive? And they have to make this gut-wrenching decision as fucking parents who had already had a gender reveal party, who had already decided they wanted to have a fucking child, that found out too late in the pregnancy that they were going to, have this issue, and dealt with the sadness of what is it going to do to her? Will she die? All this guy, like, the baby's not viable. It's going to pass away. The question is, do you hook it up to a ventilator and let it take days to die, or you hold it in your arms as it passes away, if that's even an option? Or do you hold it after it passes during the fucking pregnancy or the actual birth? And this is cruel bullshit. No, that's just fucking dumb. And we hear this shit all the time. Like, this comes up a bunch. It is in no way fucking true. And to say that about parents, especially in a situation like this, where they have a child that is not going to survive and they go through the heartbreak of having to deal with this, is just gross. Both of these fuckers are gross.
Which is downright murder.
Yeah, it is. That's why nobody fucking does it, you lunatic.
But they don't care.
What? Yeah, they just, I don't want an abortion. Oh, good. No, because I want to choke the fucker to death as soon as he comes out. As a matter of fact, if the umbilical cord is still attached, can I feel it? Can I see it? I'm that much of a murderous fuckwad. What? Shut up. Don't look at me like that. It's your wife. Straighten her out, dummy. Tell her. She said it. You're sitting right there. Why is it my responsibility?
Really don't.
I mean, in the visual images of these leftists, you do see it's almost as if they know they're on the side of evil.
What? No. How about the reason that they say things like "Hail Satan" and shit like that is because you're using religion to control them, and they're like, well, fuck you. That doesn't apply to me. It should never. That's the whole point of freedom in this fucking country. So I'm going to dress up like a demon because that's what you think of me, because I'm mocking your attitude about this. And I don't even know why you're talking to her. She ate the apple. She shouldn't even be part of the conversation.
Well, yes.
They're embracing the kind of almost pagan imagery of evil.
The sacrificing of the babies, that whole...
Right.
What? The sacrificing of the babies? Good fucking Lord. And this is the most ridiculous part of it, beyond even the content and stuff, is the sort of kind of chuckly laughter. It's kind of like they're sacrificing babies, and they do like the kind of like chipper discussion. Like, I like, it's like they're saying happy birthday. Like, get the fuck.
Sure, to me.
Or even saying things like, I'm going to get pregnant now so I can have abortions. I mean, think about that.
Yeah, they're fucking with you, dummy. They're saying that's what you're accusing me of.
Who does that?
People who are fucking with idiots are like, yeah, like who doesn't understand sarcasm and irony?
how
does
perverted
that?
you have to be.
You have to be
eat.
very perverted and very sick.
I don't know that that's a perversion. I think that'd be psychotic if it was true. It isn't, but yeah, that's not a perversion. Except maybe that you can't get past the idea that what's required to get pregnant. Maybe they're using a turkey baster.
And just, you know, again, it just...
And again, it's just like it's like they want to dash a baby's head on the rocks as soon as it's born, like it says in the Bible.
The fact that they're acting like we're just taking away like their life when actually what we're doing. And you know, another thing.
No, finish that thought, stupid. Every other thought you've put forward is horrifyingly disgusting, dishonest, and grotesque. You can't abandon one of them now.
Too is being pro-life means that we want even those freaks, their babies, to be born. Yes.
We just want them to not be healthy afterwards. We also don't give a shit if they eat or if they're educated or if they have Head Start or S-Chip or any programs if they can't afford food. It's better for them to just learn that starvation is such a good motivator.
Yes. You know, and so if we were that hateful, why would we want their babies to be born? Why would?
So you can watch them suffer. I think that's what you want. I think that's the point. You only care about it up to birth, and then instead of like those awful people you're saying that want to murder their kid right after it's born, you just want to watch it wither and die, unwanted, broken, sick, and poor. And so that there's an argument of which is crueler.
Would we want more of them around? You know,
and the truth of it is, talk
more of them. Yeah, if we look at her, she's like, not so much. Honestly, if I had my way, the whole after killing doesn't not necessarily, but I have to
talk about maybe abortion is an inconvenience, but all kids impose inconveniences on your life, and
yes, all incest and rape babies and all. I mean, sometimes my kids are so ornery, they'll get attached to my uterine wall and then just start tugging. And I'm like, you're going to tear my insides out. And I'm like, well, it's my kid, kids tear out the darndest organs.
And the simple truth of it is that's part of what it means to be a parent.
Yeah, but
right. It would be the interruption of the parenting process early on.
But I think it's more joy than an inconvenience.
No, of course,
right?
Of course.
So,
yeah, of course. I mean, so we're not going to, honey, we're not going to suffocate the children. I mean, they're too big now. I couldn't take them if I wanted to.
Yes.
And again, if you're a woman who feels like you cannot care for your child, give it up for adoption. There are too many families going to China and Russia for babies. We don't.
Ew. They're not bringing Chinese babies over here, are they? Nasty. And they're going to Russia for babies? Have they come back? Have you checked on your friends lately?
We have enough babies in America.
They don't have to go to Russia for a baby. They can just hang out in the lobby of Trump Tower, Miami. Those things are being pumped out daily.
And so give up your baby for adoption. They're going to have a wonderful life with parents that love them. And there is a shortage.
Or not. Or they won't get adopted. They'll be raised in foster care and abused horribly, underfed, over-medicated, undereducated, abused. No?
Of babies in this country. Why? Because they're being aborted. And now maybe.
No, we don't have a shortage of babies because of abortions. There's no tipping point in abortions as far as kids. The low birth rate aspect is about people not having children in the first place, not getting rid of them once they are made.
Maybe, just maybe, those women that aren't going to go cross state lines to get abortions can actually have a baby and give it up for adoption and give it to a good family.
Or a terrible family. Again, progressive. I don't know how the
next story,
hold on,
financiers of the PTI.
Back up. Hello. Hold on. Palki Shamapadmiyai. I'm going to screw up her name every time. She's the Indian host of WeOn. I don't know why this pops up after so many of these videos.
I don't watch as much of this as I think they think I do, but man, have they got a lock on. They've got more subscribers than Russell Brand does, so they're doing okay. This is we're gonna back this thing up. Yep, I'm way over time. All right, hold on one second. Going back to this, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, and I think that shows taste and breeding on your part. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. It's been a great day. It was nice talking to Philip this morning on the morning show, and if you get a chance, go back and take a look at that. And if you like the stuff that I do here, because we deal with these talking points head on, and we do it in a way that I can never be accused of taking someone out of context, because they create the context. It's super important. And in doing this, it does take a little bit longer sometimes when we go through these things, but I think it's important. Also, you have nothing to fear from these assholes. Slow and steady progress, vote.org, onward and upward. We will right all the wrongs. There's a great phrase that, you remember how I was saying, like, a lot of people think that money is the root of all evil is the phrase when it's the love of money is the root of all evil. And the phrase, starve a cold, feed a fever is actually a prescriptive thing instead of a warning. The full phrase is, if you starve a cold, you will feed a fever, meaning that you should not fast during a cold. If you have a cold, you should eat, because that will help you fight it off and not get a worse infection that will lead to a fever. So if you starve a cold, you will feed a fever. That's the phrase. There's another one, my country right or wrong, which the real phrase is often misquoted too. It's used as sort of like blanket patriotism, just kind of like my country right or wrong. But the actual phrase is, let's see, let me find them. Where is it? I'm gonna find the full phrase. Yeah, here's the etymology. This is where the phrase comes from. It's from Carl Schurz in 1872. And instead of being a jingoistic phrase that's meant to be like, America, love it or leave it, the actual phrase is, my country right or wrong. If right, to be kept right, and if wrong, to be set right. My country right or wrong. If right, to be kept right. If wrong, to be set right. That's HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. I appreciate you guys. I thank you for being here. I thank you for the support. Thank you for subscribing. Softball, thank you for gifting the subs. Softball Saul, Sweet Mel, thank you so much. Bjorn, thank you for the super chat. Keep up the good show. Hal, been traveling across Europe to get home today, so I'm hitting the sack. Keep up the good work, my friend. See you later. Thank you so much, Bjorn. Much love. Thanks, Girls Rock Player, for using the bits and saying Happy Pride Month. Pride Month has been extended for good reason. Julie, thank you for being a member as well. Anne, thank you for staying a member. Hal's quick wit and genuine reaction to the madness. Right. That's what we're here for, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm trying to do. And I want to remind you in all of this that one of the reasons why we confront these things head on and why we we stare into the blazing anus of right-wing talking points sometimes. What a horrible image. I apologize. That's going to be, I got to wash that one out. Hold on. That the reason we look at it is because I think in being afraid that these people are forceful or more confident in their bullshit than other people, there's just, some people are afraid to simply deal with it. They're like, just look at it. Look at what they're saying for real. Listen to what they're saying. And ultimately you will find you have nothing to fear. Remember, there is nothing to fear, including fear itself. It's an awesome saying, and I'm sticking with it. Just get used to the idea. All right. You guys are awesome. I'll see you later. There I am. cleared the 1,000 mark on subs. You guys, thanks so much. That's amazing. Casey, thank you for the super chat. Don't forget to support the show, like and subscribe, thumbs up, yada yada. I always forget. Thanks. The Venmo's up in the corner if you want to hit that too. You guys are lovely. Okay, for real this time.